What's good, y'all? It's Akira here, back with another video. And today we're talking about the big battle between the Cricut Explore Air 2 and the Cricut Maker, and which one I think you should buy so you can save some coins and don't waste it on the wrong machine. Before we get into the video, I want to let you guys know if you're into interior design, home decor, travel, or anything like that, take a look and subscribe to my new channel, Akira's World. A whole bunch of content is going to be dropping this week. Now let's get into the reason why you're watching this video. Guys, the question I get asked all the time: what Cricut machine should you buy? First of all, if you want to get a Cricut, because there's other machines out there, but if you want to get a Cricut, which one should you buy? The big two players right now are the Cricut Explore Air and the Cricut Maker, and I have an inkling that Cricut is going to be dropping a new machine because the Airs are they're getting super cheap. The Cricut Makers are getting super cheap. So usually that means a new machine is coming out. I'm not on the inside track with Cricut just yet, but I'm working on it. And so I think there's something new coming out, but I'm not sure. But let's get into the big differences about the machines that are out now and why I would recommend the machine that I'm going to recommend at the end of this video. So the first thing, and then guys, you know I gotta have my notes here so I can give you all the tea, the research, the things that I've discovered. But anywho, so the biggest difference between the Cricut Maker and the Cricut Explore Air 2 is the cutting strength. So the Cricut Air 2 is like a butter knife. It cuts, it does its job, but it just doesn't have that strength that a butcher knife has. And what the difference is between those are about, let's see here, the Cricut Explore is 10 times less powerful than the Cricut Maker. So that is like the biggest difference right there. And what I notice is sometimes I'll see a Cricut tutorial video and they have the Cricut Air 2 and they're cutting through a simple material 10 to 11, or they have to put it in multiple times. And that's really the biggest difference between these two machines, is that cutting strength. So if you're using like vinyl, if you're using vinyl, paper craft, stuff like that, then the Air, it works for you, it works for what you need to do. But if you want to do any other materials, the Maker is the machine for you. And I'm going to give you some more information on why I think that, but you're here with me, we have some time, so let's chill, let's talk about it. So the first things first, and I got this chart here that kind of compares both machines. So the Maker, the cutting force is 4 kilograms versus 400 grams on the Explore Air 2. So like I said, 10 times the strength. So, and that really plays a role in a lot of things. The time that's going to take you to cut things, the materials that you can cut, and ultimately the error factor that comes into a machine that has less power. If your machine has more power, you have the ability to cut through materials way better, and it allows you, it stops that error margin where, like, if you're cutting vinyl and it doesn't cut properly, or pieces are gapping up, or it just, if you have a Cricut, if you've done a few things, but if you know you've messed up a few times, and if you haven't gotten a Cricut yet and that's why you're watching this video, materials will get messed up. You won't do things 100% perfect. And I think that the error for messing up materials is a little bit higher on the Air 2 than it is on the Cricut Maker. So each also has the ability to cut, the maximum cut ratio, or maximum cutting size. Y'all know I just be saying stuff sometimes. But it's 12 by 24 inches on both machines, so those are pretty much the same. What is different on the Maker and on the Air 2 is the technology. So on the Air 2, there's a smart dial, and I'll show you a picture here of what the dial looks like, and you correct that dial in order to know what type of pressure the machine needs to apply for the material that you're cutting, right? So you're limited to these options here on the dial, whereas the Maker, you have the ability to not only pick the material that you're using, but to increase or decrease the pressure. So for instance, a lot of Airs have a hard time with cutting through glitter vinyl. So if glitter vinyl is something that you're going to want to be using, then you have to, you be aware that you're going to have some difficulty with cutting that. Whereas the maker, you can cut glitter vinyl and you can also increase the pressure. So what that means is the pressure that the machine is putting on the material to be able to cut through it with your blade. Which is a big difference. And like I said, glitter vinyl is not it's a thicker material, but it's not the thickest material out there. And if the Air 2 has issues with cutting it, and that's something that you plan on using regularly in your business, in your craft, just crafting or whatever, that's something to definitely keep in mind. So pretty much everything else is the same with the machine. They use the same software, which is Cricut Design Space. The weight on them is different too. So the maker is about 24 pounds and the Explorer Air 2 is about 16 pounds. I had both. I had the Explorer Air 2 and I ended up taking it back. And I currently have the maker. The maker feels more luxury. It feels heavier, it feels more luxury. It's made out of better materials, so what you pay for, you get what you pay for. Whereas the Explorer Air 2 is more plastic knobs, plastic top, plastic cover and things like that, where the maker has a few metal pieces, much heavier, if the quality of it feels ultimately better. The Air 2 comes in a lot of other colors compared to the maker, but even though the maker does not come in a lot of different colors, the maker has a more sophisticated quality aesthetic look. Now I know not everyone is into like aesthetics and making your craft room look really good, but me personally, I'm an interior designer, so that is super important to me. So the aesthetics of the maker are much better to me than the Air 2, but I will say the Air 2 does have better color options. For me, I have the rose gold maker because I thought it was so cute and I had to get it, and plus that was the color that was on sale when it was available, so we ain't gonna talk about that. But anywho, so those are some of the differences between the Cricut maker and the Cricut Air 2. I'm just looking to see if there's any other things that I should point out to you guys. So there are a few tools as well that the Cricut Explorer Air cannot use. Those tools are the rotary blade, the knife blade, the quick swap tools, and those are the three. And so the rotary blade is, so if you are a sewer and you use the Cricut to cut out patterns, if you make plush toys or anything like that, and you need to cut fabric with your Cricut, you just can't do it with the Explorer Air 2. Also the knife blade. So the knife blade is kind of what I primarily use for all of my crafts, even though you're supposed to be using the deep point blade, which both of the machines can use. I usually use the knife blade. The knife blade is a really sharp tool. It can cut through like wood, mostly any material that you want to cut in your Cricut. The knife blade is usually the best option to cut those thicker materials. So the Air cannot cut any of those materials because they don't have the knife blade. Those thicker like wood, like if you want to do balsam wood signs or whatever, the Air, you just can't do it. You'll have to figure out another way to do it. Also, just looking down here, and then the other big difference between the two is that the print and cut. So with print and cut, you can do print and cut on both machines, but with the Air, you cannot cut. You can only use white print and cut. So you get white paper, you print on the paper, and that's it. If you want to choose black paper, blue paper, green paper, yellow paper, whatever, because there's all types of crafts, there's all types of things that you can do with your Cricut machine, and you don't want to be limited to just using white paper with print and cut. I personally use different colors in my maker. I didn't even know before I did my research for this video that the Air 2 cannot cut different colors besides white for the print and cut, so that's something to keep in mind as well. Price wise, the Cricut maker is more expensive, but it's literally like $150 more expensive. And even now that price gap is getting smaller and smaller because, like I said, these machines are going on sale and they're getting crazy cheap. I'm going to link down below the most inexpensive places that I've seen the machines, in case after buying this video you want to go ahead and invest in one. So right now, if you can't tell, I'm team Maker, but I do want to point out that there are a lot of similarities with the two machines. There's a lot that you can do with both, but if you have certain needs and you kind of have an idea of what you want to do with your machine, I hope these tips can help you kind of decide where you want to go. So like I said, why I personally purchased the Maker was for a few things. First of all, was the ability to cut different materials. When I first bought my Cricut, I bought my Cricut almost 2 years ago, and I was like, okay, I want to make wood signs. I love them, they're so cool, blah blah blah. And that was the primary reason why I got the Maker. Not gonna lie, I didn't do as much research as I should have. I said, okay, I'm buying this, I got it on sale, great, we're done. But once I started doing some more research, I ended up buying an Explore Air 2 at that same time because I didn't know which one I would like better, and then I had time to return both. I ended up keeping the Maker, and the Explore Air 2 just wasn't cutting it for me. The biggest thing that I did not like about the Air 2 was the dial. Yes, you can choose your material on Cricut Design Space, but the dial is what tells the machine what type of pressure to apply, and I would forget every time to change the dial. It was not for me. It's not for somebody who's forgetful. I did not like the dial, and that's why I went with the Maker. Also with the Maker, you have the ability to grow with your machine. With the Air 2, like I said, you're limited to certain materials to be able to successfully cut them without having to pass through, you know, pass the material through 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times on your Cricut, because depending on what you're cutting, that can take an extremely long time, and nobody, you know, time is money. And even if you're crafting, you don't want to be crafting for 50 hours trying to get one project done. So that is the reason why I just said, you know, no to the Air 2. With the Maker, you can grow with your machine. You can start doing different types of projects. Say you start making vinyl signs, and then the next thing you want to do is you want to do wood signs, and then you want to grow into maybe making garden signs, and maybe you just have a whole sign business, and that will allow you, the Maker will allow you to use your Cricut to expand your business, expand your crafting arsenal, whatever you want to use your machine for. It will allow you to grow with it. Whereas the Air 2, eventually, if you venture out into different things, eventually you'll have to buy a different machine, and that's a whole nother investment that you don't necessarily have to make if you just go with the Maker at the beginning. Also, the Maker has way more undercarriage storage, which to me is super important, and I think is something that you should definitely keep in mind when you are trying to decide which machine you want. Especially people, and I know a lot of people comment this, that they have a small space and they don't really have, you know, a ton of space for their crafting stuff or for their small business. So it's definitely something to keep in mind when purchasing the machines. The Maker has way more storage space. So overall, while there are a lot of similarities between the Maker and the Air 2, I definitely think the Maker is worth the extra money for you to get. Even if you're a crafter, it allows you to do so much more crafting, and if you're a small business owner, absolutely get the Maker. It's definitely the machine for you. It's a Kara approved, okay? So guys, I hope you thought this video was helpful. I definitely have a long list of things that are coming soon for this channel. And also, if you're into interior design and decorating, don't forget to check out Kara's World. They'll be linked down below. Brand new content coming this week, and old content as well for some interior design projects that I've done in the past. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. Let me know what you think down below, and what machine you're gonna get or what machine you have. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.